Not long ago, I uploaded a video about this, one of the better shortwave radios that you can buy. And one of the biggest complaints, I'll be honest, the biggest complaint about this shortwave radio was that at just under $500, it is too expensive. So in response to those complaints, because if you watch my videos, you know I always want to please everyone that leaves comments on my videos and make everyone happy, I made it my goal in life to find a less expensive shortwave radio for the masses. And finally, after months of research and searching, I found this. The Retekess TR111 Bluetooth-controlled shortwave radio. So to see if this radio can pass mustard, I will do some comparisons. I will review the radio for you, and we will see how it compares to this much more expensive shortwave radio, so that you can decide if this radio does indeed pass mustard and if it can meet your shortwave radio requirements. The cost for the Retekess TR111 shortwave radio is $55. Affiliate link below or on the side somewhere. And when you finally do find the more information section of the video, you will find the aforementioned link so that you can either purchase the radio or review its specifications. And just for the record, and just so that some people cannot call me a shill for Retekess, the Retekess company did not send me the shortwave radio for free. Retekess offered to send me one for free. However, I declined, and instead I paid full price for this shortwave radio using the monies that I collected from my supporting viewers. Those are the viewers that clicked the join or thanks button below. And finally, before I get started, allow me to answer a question that many people asked on my previous shortwave radio video. And that question is, why would anyone want a shortwave radio? And my friend, the answer is simple. Due to the physics of RF electricities and the lengths of the waves and whatnot and so on and such, and because of how those waves interact across the Earth's flat surface, shortwave radio signals can travel many fars, pretty much across the entire world. So after the thermonuclear dust settles and the effects of the biological warfare has all worn off and the streets have all been cleared of zombies, and assuming that everything hasn't been melted by EMP, a person might have a good reason to want to listen for news or information from across the world. And that is exactly what a shortwave radio does best. When you purchase the Retekess TR111 shortwave radio, in the box you will receive a user manual, and it is huge, 180 pages. However, I quickly realized that only about 30 pages are actually in English, but the user manual is fairly well written in above average Chinglish, which is equivalent to about 6th grade English. You will also receive this small pamphlet, which details how to use the app that you install on your phone, which you can optionally use to control the radio, which I will demonstrate momentarily. You will receive a charging cable. One end plugs into one of the many USB-A type charging plugs that you probably already have lying around your house. The other end plugs into the radio. You will receive this very stylish and very high quality wrist strap. Some may refer to this as a lanyard, but they would be wrong. This is a wrist strap. It is actually high quality. It is a little stretchy. It has this wrist strap adjustment on it, and it is actually very thick and very comfortable. You will receive this satiny carry case for storing or carrying your shortwave radio, and you will receive the Retekess TR111 shortwave radio. As you can see, the radio is very small, actually disappointingly small. I actually thought it was going to be larger based on some of the photos on the Amazon page, but as my mama told me for years, Randolfo, do not worry that it's so small. Small is fine. And now that I've had it for a while and have played with it a lot, I have come to better appreciate how well its small size fits in my hand. Oh, and the radio is nice too. On the radio, you will find a flashlight, which is actually very bright. As you can see, it has 5 little LED elements. It has a USB charging plug, a headphone jack, side button for turning on the light or activating the SOS feature, which I will mention momentarily, a memory card slot, which I will also speak more of momentarily, channel up and down, power on and off, band, volume controls, a lock button so that you don't accidentally butt dial and change channels while you're listening. It has a collapsible antenna, approximately 13 inches in length. Does have the SOS alarm so that when World War III breaks out, no problem, just hit the SOS button to get help. The memory card slot is for playing MP3, WMA, and WAV, also known as WAV file formats, and you can also stream music to it from your phone via the Bluetooths. And even though this speaker is very small, it has a lot of bass and sounds surprisingly good, and it goes fairly loud without much distortion. So because you can stream your Bluetooth music to it or play your saved music files from the memory card, in addition to being a shortwave radio, it is also a decent little music player, so you can listen to your favorite songs while the bombs drop and the world falls apart around you. The radio can receive AM and FM commercial radio, weather band, and shortwave frequencies from 4.75 MHz up to 21.85 MHz. But probably the best feature of this shortwave radio, which admittedly is probably not very practical in a post-apocalyptic nightmare scenario, but you never know, but it does make the radio very useful, is that you can control the radio from your phone via a very easy-to-use app, as is very clearly explained in the small app instruction pamphlet. The app is very easy to use, and I was able to connect to the radio via Bluetooth very easy right out of the box on the very first try with no problems. And the app lets you control everything on the radio, as you can see, which is much easier than trying to fat finger it. So can this little $50 shortwave radio be a replacement for this $500 shortwave radio? Of course not. Don't be stupid. But this small, inexpensive radio does have some advantages over that $500 radio, of which I will now detail to you. First of all is the cost. You can buy 10 of these for the price of just one of these. That $500 radio is much larger, heavier, and more bulky, whilst you can carry the Retekess around in your pocket. The Retekess is directly rechargeable via this USB-C plug, and the $500 radio is not rechargeable. And the Retekess has a flashlight. The TR111 shortwave radio can store 396 channels in memory, whilst the $500 radio has 1,000 channel memories. The Retekess can stream Bluetooth or play music from its internal memory card, which, by the way, is not included with the radio when you purchase it. You must supply your own memory card. However, the $500 shortwave radio can do neither. The much larger $500 shortwave radio has a slightly wider range of shortwave frequencies that it can receive, and the larger shortwave radio can also receive single sideband and airband, whilst the Retekess cannot. The $500 shortwave radio has a rotating directional antenna, as well as a much larger and much more heavy-duty telescoping antenna, and the $500 shortwave radio has connections for connecting larger external antennas to it, whilst the Retekess does not have any external antenna connections. However, you can simply clip a long wire type shortwave antenna to the Retekess for better shortwave receiving. The $500 shortwave radio has larger, smooth, easier to use and control knobs and buttons. However, the Retekess has this fancy app. So is this $55 shortwave radio as good as the $500 much higher-end shortwave radio? My friend, if what you want is a small, inexpensive, lightweight shortwave radio with a flashlight that you can carry around in your pocket, then yeah, this is a lot better.